Good evening, intuitives, and welcome all of you that are new to the channel. Thank you for subscribing, and a special thanks to those of you that have been with the channel from when I was, a super nobody instead of a nobody, and helped this channel grow. If you are new to the channel, and you've only watched recent videos, please check out my playlist, my older videos in general, or at least the popular videos under the popular videos tab. And hopefully some of my older work you'll find helpful for you, or perhaps entertaining. Who knows? Pretty entertaining in a I don't know what I'm doing and say whatever I mean kind of way, except for the swearing now, because the algorithm doesn't like that and it doesn't like me to begin with. So, tonight I have a more specialized narcissism video because, as I've stated in previous videos, the personality type that is most targeted by narcissists are, sadly, ENFJs, my favorite people. And it's quite obvious why. They're very sweet, very empathetic, very caring people, and particularly younger ones struggle to say no. And that's like blood in the water for a narcissist. That's, that gets them off even more. It's like pretty sweet, can't say no, that's more fun to exploit. They like to exploit you know, the sweetheart type that think that they're helping somebody, because ENFJs always try to save people and find the best in them. And the second most type that is most targeted, and that would be mine, INFJs. And that can be for two reasons, really. One, narcissists will target INFJs because we're slow to open up and we may be loners. And, the narcissist may play well, I understand you. I understand your depth and your layers. Or they target us in another way, in a non-relationship way, as you are a threat to my game. You can see right through me and I know it. And since you're kind of a lone wolf, you don't go along with, but I'm in this clique or this group, and your integrity will compel you to call me out and perhaps open the eyes of those that still see the mask. Yeah, so there are some narcissistic tactics that are more prevalent, in being used against these two types. Some of these will overlap for both types. Some are more pronounced in either type, or in both types. But, let's start out with the one that the narcissists really get off exploiting, the sweetest, most empathetic, most charismatic, and adorable people in the world, the ENFJs. So, ENFJs, when a narc is targeting you, these are things you should pay attention to. And, of course, trust your intuition, because you have pretty good intuition. Not as good as INFJs, but still pretty good. But you're even worse at listening to it. ENFJs, they're going to love bomb you. Why? Well, ENFJs like compliments. ENFJs don't have the best self-confidence. Usually we're particularly talking like younger, like, 18 to 25. From what I recall of, all the ENFJs I knew at that age group that were pretty, none of them really knew like how pretty they were. They always downplayed it. They always thought they were just cute. And, some of these girls were gorgeous. And that seems to be a pattern amongst, pretty ENFJ women, is they don't realize just how attractive they are. I mean, I've even seen this with famous, ENFJ women. Like I remember Amelia Clark when she first became famous. She didn't understand why everybody thought she was so pretty. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? So you're prettier without the wig, by the way. So it does seem to be a pattern amongst that personality type, and the narcissist will come for that because, again, ENFJs like compliments. ENFJs tend to give all of themselves in a relationship. Like INFJs in relationships, it's all or nothing. So, ENFJs don't like half date somebody. Either they're into you or they're not, which is great, especially if you're an INFJ, because we're the same way. But a narcissist will come in and start to love bomb them. Now, there's, a distinction between like when a narcissist is love bombing you and say you happen to be somebody's exact type. An INFJ who's like, ooh, look, an ENFJ who's just my type, we'll use our attention to detail and we'll point out things about you that we like that, let's be honest, most guys wouldn't notice. when a narcissist is targeting an ENFJ through love bombing, it's going to be a lot of compliments, but they're going to be very vague and, general. Like, you're so pretty or you're so sweet. It's not going to be specific, little things about that particular person that that person isn't used to other people noticing. But it's just going to be vague compliment, generality compliment, just compliment galore to love bomb the target. And there you go. That's their first tactic, against the ENFJ. Another big tactic a narcissist will use against ENFJs will tend to be to exploit the ENFJ's empathy. Now, this not only gets them closer to the ENFJ, but it also gives them more validity. It makes it less likely that someone's going to call them out as a narcissist. And this is because many narcissists and cult leaders in general, they weaponize empaths. They weaponize these very sweet, very empathetic people that, would never hurt somebody and is always doing good. So they can hide behind that and not be exposed for who they really are. Because it's like, oh, if this sweetheart's vouching for him, then I guess my intuition's off today, kind of thing. So that's another main target they'll use. And they'll also exploit the ENFJ's empathy by, playing the I'm so broken card and nobody understands me and, you're so different from other people. But again, vague, general. It's not going to be, they're not going to say like, you understand me because this, because that, because we're, for example, like if you're both witches or something obscure, it's going to be in a very, vague, general way, just to that false, deep conversation, we'll call it. And they will use deep conversation too. This will be both for INFJs, ENFJs, because both types are really big on deep conversations. But, the conversation will be very one-sided. The narcissist will be doing a lot of the talking. That's something you should really pay attention to, ENFJs, because you like to talk. And, that's good for INFJs because we don't. So if somebody wants a deep conversation with you, but they're making it all about them and their depth, and they're not like really intensely listening to you and only chiming in when it's something that you both have in common that, you're not used to having in common with many people, be aware of that. Because like someone who's really into like just a deep conversation with you and wanting to get to know all about you, they'll let you do most of the talking. If you don't believe me, go have a deep conversation with an INFJ, if you can find one. So there's that. Another thing ENFJs is, and you're not good at this, setting boundaries. Narcissists in general don't like to respect boundaries, but they're going to expect you to have none off the get-go, like none. Like basically from day one of your courtship, they're going to be making all the decisions. They're going to basically train you that they make all the decisions and you make none, that they're in charge and you're just to go with the flow, kind of thing. And pretty soon they'll do that so that they control every aspect of your life, including who you're friends with, where you can go, things of that nature. And sadly, I've seen ENFJs go along with it, because another general thing a narcissist will do is you're so lucky to have me, I'm so great, and I'm settling for you. Oh yes, the narcissist is always the settler, never the reacher, which is funny because in a lot of these times that I'm looking back on, if we're talking physically attractiveness, you'll see like this, gorgeous ENFJ girl with this average looking narcissistic guy with a dad bod. It's like, what the fuck did that happen? Does he know witchcraft? Something's wrong here. Yeah, it's a head scratcher like that. But it's the lack of confidence and the inability to say no. And that's your biggest way to combat this, is to set boundaries, to be able to say no. And if you still struggle, I know it's easier said than done for you, but a workaround around it is to open up to somebody you truly trust, who, will stand up for you if you ask them to and ask for nothing in return because they actually respect you, yeah, you're going to have to confide in that person and, sick them on the narcissist. Because there are people that'll do that for you. I was very much that guy many times in college. So, guys like that exist. Now, for INFJs, as I mentioned in the beginning, the narcissist will target you by making you feel as if they understand you. Like they're the first person to understand this weird walking paradox that's like a lone wolf that doesn't fit into any groups. An INFJ knows who they are, but they can't express it, and therefore we don't fit in anywhere, and we're not going to pretend to be something we're not to conform to a group that we don't want to be in anyway, just because it's supposedly the popular thing to do. Whew. Okay, got it? So there's that. They will be that false friend who seems to understand you, but again, they're not going to really listen, and they don't really understand you. They'll tip their hand early because an INFJ will catch on relatively quickly. Like, you're just spewing platitudes. You're up to something, which leads into the bigger point of how an INFJ identifies a narcissist is they're going to constantly be putting you down, trying to keep you down. INFJs do tend to be charismatic when we open up, which we only do when we feel like it. But when we do, and we're, people are drawn to us when we are being our genuine, authentic selves with integrity, again, when we feel like putting ourselves out there, which you can go through long periods where we don't. It's called hermit mode. I did a video on it. But that'll be, a narcissist will be threatened by that because the mere presence of someone who's that open and honest and has integrity, it's like, no. So there'll be tons of put down for many reasons. One, because you're being open and honest and they're playing a game. Two, because anybody who takes the attention and the spotlight away from them, they see as a threat and must destroy. And as I mentioned, they know we can see through them. So we'll call them out regardless. But if they see us like getting close to people that they're trying to target or are beginning to target, they'll be like, wait a minute, I can't have my target opening up and trusting that INFJ, because they're going to realize, well, this INFJ says what they mean. They don't lie. And, this weird intuition shit that they do tends to be right most of the time. So, if they decide to be like, something ain't right with that guy, they're probably going to believe him because it's going to be true. And there's only so much backpedaling, dancing around the narcissist can do to deny it, because every time they backpedal and dance and lie, they'll contradict earlier lies, and, then the jig is up. So that is the main signs to look for if you're an INFJ. If you're seeing excessive put downs, like everything you do that this person, the narcissist, sees is like being put through a microscope and overanalyzed, and they'll find like things wrong about you everywhere, and they'll try to spread that, and their enablers will help them, because that's another, big thing for both types. INFJs, I know we're loners, but a narcissist, not only, if you have a small group, they want to get you out of that group and into their group, because their group of people also serves as their enablers to trap you. And this is even more true, ENFJs. You have a small circle of people you're really close with typically, but a large circle of acquaintances, because you're just the most likable people. The narcissist will try to exile you from those people because, they'll be like, this person's not being treated right. Something wrong with this person, must say something. And even people you don't know that well will, because ENFJs are just so sweet. And, people are like, that's, she's so sweet. I can't, I gotta walk up and, tell her that something wrong going on around here. But yes, the narcissist will try to pull you out of your group that you're close with and try to completely integrate you into their group that enables them for the time that they are using you for narcissistic supply. And then they will discard you, and it's on to the next target. So I hope that was helpful explaining narcissistic tactics that are most commonly used amongst INFJs and ENFJs. And if you're an INFJ or an ENFJ, first and foremost, if you think a narcissist is targeting you, you must trust your own intuition before they get you to completely doubt it all the time. And remember, your integrity is not for sale, no matter who this person is, what they claim they can do for you, what they claim that you mean to them. Remember, They are just using you for short-term supply. And even if you think you can suffer through it for the end result, they're not going to give you anything but abuse, and it's going to scar you, and it will not be worth it in the end.